Those of you at home, please mute your microphone so the service can begin.
Okay, it's on.
Today, all of our music comes from the hymnals, and we'll be using the gray hymnal for the most part, and then later on at the very end, we'll use the teal hymnal. And all of our songs are rounds. And so those of you on this side of the church, if you would please follow, raise your hand, choir members, if you are doing the first part. Yes. Those on this side, if you would please follow Judy and Barbara, that Judy. And those of you on the second part, if you would please follow Greg and the Judy beside him. All right. And so our first hymn is number 188. 188 in the gray hymnal. Come, come, whoever you are. And we'll begin by singing the entire thing all the way through in unison, and then we will break up into parts. And when you see part one, and then when you see the two, those of you doing the second part will begin at the beginning. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of living, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Come, come, whoever you are. Come, come, whoever you are. Wanderer, worshiper, lover of living, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Come, come, whoever you are. Wanderer, worshiper, lover of living, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come.
Every Sunday, there's some new logistics. Welcome, dear friends. Welcome to our spiritual home, the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tarpon Springs. Our church is located here in the walkable Tarpon Springs Historic District and is known as the home of the Innes paintings. My name is Judy Lucarelli, and I am serving as worship associate today. We are a church of many welcomes, and we offer a warm welcome to all of you who have joined us in person or on Zoom. This is a liberal community for all ages, promoting spiritual growth, social justice, and the arts. As such, ours is an active church, and everyone is invited to participate in any of our activities, whether you are a member or not. To learn more about events, our church calendar is on our website, uutarpon.org, or you can discuss activities with church members. Our children are with us during the beginning of the service at this time, and we have faith formation programming available with our gifted leader, Jamie Cruz. Children gather for their time together with her after the story. If you'd like more information about our programming, please contact Reverend Christina or see Jamie after the service. For those present with us in the building, we have connection cards available in the pews near the hymnals. If you fill one out and put it in the offering plate or give it to one of our greeters, we will be able to keep in touch with you. There are also small cards to write any joys or concerns that you would like to share with us if you prefer writing them down. These will be collected during the offertory. We're delighted to have Reverend Beth Miller leading the service today. In 2012, after 22 years in parish and institutional ministry, Reverend Beth Miller semi-retired and became a snowbird, living 9 months a year in Sebastian, Florida. Retirement didn't take, and she soon became part-time consulting minister, serving Friendship Fellowship at Pineda, doing guest preaching and facilitation at area churches. Since then, she has served short-term fill-in ministries in Arlington, Virginia, and Baton Rouge, Louisiana. In September of 2019, Reverend Beth joined the UU Church of Sarasota as half-time contract associate minister, from which she retired, maybe this time really, April 1st, 2022. Reverend Beth previously served as sole or senior minister for 3 congregations over 16 years, directed the Department of Ministry and Professional Leadership at the UUA for 5 years, and worked as an organizational development consultant for the Mass Bay and Clara Barton districts of the UUA for 1 year. Reverend Beth brings a great deal of experience to all aspects of ministry and looks forward to offering occasional ministerial services where needed. Music is provided by our music director, Bonnie Whitehurst, supported by our choir. Bonnie will be singing throughout the service, and you're welcome to sing along wearing masks to the songs and hymns. Again, welcome. We light our chalice with these words from Sarah Eileen Lawal. Out of the flames of fear, we rise with courage of our deepest convictions to stand for justice, inclusion, and peace. Out of the flames of scrutiny, we rise to proclaim our faith with hope to heal a fractured and hurting world. Out of the flames of doubt, we rise to embrace the mystery, wonder, and awe of all there is and all that is yet to be. Out of the flames of hate, we rise with the force of love, love that celebrates our shared humanity. Out of the flames, we rise. Please keep the families and community in Uvalde, Texas, in our minds and hearts this week. Thank you.
And let us sing hymn number 123, Spirit of Life, in your gray hymnal.
Reverend Beth, that you switched to...
Oh, I was still on, I'm sorry. Correct.
There we go.
Yay.
Hey.
All right. I gave a brief personal greeting for those of you who didn't hear me. So anyway, sorry about that. So when you've been out in nature, have you ever had a special feeling of being really connected to something way bigger than yourself? And the people that you care about. Felt that sense of being connected. We're usually preoccupied with our thoughts or listening to something on our earbuds, and we don't notice our surroundings that much. But here's an experience from a woman named Ann Scott, an experience that she had and shared in a book she wrote called Serving Fire, Food for Thought, Body and Soul. She writes, "Years ago, I had read that it was traditional among California Native Americans to go into the redwood forest when they needed strength. Standing with their backs against a tree, they would remain there until they were quite literally recharged. I remember this brief description the day I took my husband to a hospital emergency room and watched him struggling for his life with an asthma attack. After leaving Stephen in the hospital, I returned home, drained of hope and exhausted. I went to the redwoods nearby and leaned against one of the trees. Feeling soothed and calmed, I remained in that position with my eyes closed for several minutes. As I moved away from the tree, ready to go home, I noticed that my palms were tingling. At about 6 inches from the tree, the tingling intensified, but any further away, it weakened. I repeated this motion many times to convince myself that I wasn't imagining that I could feel whatever the Chinese refer to as qi. In Japan it's called ki, and in India, prana. We know it as the life force. This glimpse into the unseen, which for me had previously been the unreal, gave me great comfort. I was no longer alone. I knew that I was held, a single thread within the intricate lacework connecting all living things. Before this awareness, I would have only entered into the darkness of matter, seen only the pain that is held in the body. But now I had experienced in my body the joy that is hidden in matter. It was safe for me to listen to my own rhythms. End of her testimony. So the next time you're out in nature, try to be mindful of the chi, or the ki, or the prana, the life force that surrounds you. Take a few moments to quiet yourself and to pay attention and to see if you connect. It's a long weekend, maybe try that this weekend. So, we're going to sing the children to their program with number 413, Go Now in Peace. And I have this chalice for the children, which I will hand off. You want to carry it?
Go now in peace.
You can carry
Go now in peace. May the love of God surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Go now in peace. Go now in peace. Go now in peace. Go now in peace. Everywhere that surround you, everywhere, everywhere you may go.
I have two brief readings to share with you this morning that sort of set the context for today's service. The first is from the poet Mary Oliver. She writes, "Still, what I want in my life is to be willing to be dazzled, to cast aside the weight of facts and maybe even to float a little above this difficult world. I want to believe I am looking into the white fire of a great mystery." And then from Michael Lerner in Tikkun magazine, who writes, "At the heart of our existence is a mystery, and various spiritual traditions have come into existence as a response to this primary mystery, the mystery that there is anything at all. The mystery that the universe seems to have a consciousness and a meaning that transcends our daily experience. It is the reality of human experience that at our core, we respond to the universe with a sense of awe and wonder at creation. We are dazzled by the incomprehensible fact of being itself. Through history, we have responded to this sense of awe and wonder with song, with prayers, with dance, with theology, with philosophy, with great art and architecture, with a sense of humility and a recognition that there is something that is both part of us and beyond us, something which we cannot name or control. It is from this sense of awe that the most profound wisdom springs.
Now is the time of our service when we take our offering for the work and welfare of this church. Ours is a free faith which must sustain itself financially. Please go to our website, uutarpon.org, and click the donate button, or you may mail your offering to the church at 57 Reed Street, Tarpon Springs, Florida 34689. For those of you with us in person in the sanctuary, place your offering in the offering plates as they are passed. The offering will now gratefully be given and received.
And during our offertory, we will be singing number 389 in the gray hymnal, Gathered Here, 389. And we will do so just like we did the opening prelude, by singing together and then dividing into two. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near.
So, Mary Oliver and Michael Lerner each speak of life as a great mystery. And Anne Scott's experience with the redwoods certainly was mysterious. Do you embrace the mystery of life? Do you have moments when you feel a powerful sense of wonder at being alive here in this world? In her poem, Mary Oliver's response to the mystery is that she longs to be willing to be dazzled, to cast aside the weight of facts and maybe even float a little above this difficult world. And Michael Lerner says, this is what is at our core. We are dazzled, he says, dazzled by the incomprehensible fact of being itself. As a child, I was quite often dazzled. Were you dazzled as a child? Can you recall? What dazzled you? Were you dazzled by fireflies, storms, stars, the dark of night? Michael Lerner told us that at the heart of our existence and at the heart of all the religions and spiritual traditions is the mystery that this universe seems to have a meaning beyond our daily experience. as children, I think we sensed that, and we loved being dazzled. But as we grew up, as we got taken up with worldly ambitions and burdens, we tended to lose some of our willingness to be dazzled. At least I know I did. Life got serious, and I needed to step up and take responsibility. As we matured, we became more literal, more practical. Life became more of a challenge, more of a problem to be solved than a wonder to be explored. Our adult lives became more about responsibility and control, right? There are many reasons for this, and we need the attitudes and convictions
No,
of
that's unmute
adulthood
me.
in order to survive and thrive.
Mute
But we
me. I don't
mustn't let
know.
ourselves drift too far away from mystery and wonder. And why is
Mute
that?
me.
Because without mystery and wonder, life becomes pretty drab. Deeper meanings and closer connections can so easily get lost in our focus on achieving goals and doing what needs to be done. And many of us here today are retired from that phase, that productive phase of our lives. Our goal and to-do lists have dwindled, or at least shifted significantly. And then there's the state of the world that we're living in right now. School shootings, the pandemic, politics, war, climate change, economic disruption, and on and on and on. It feels like every day a new assault, right? And it's hard to connect with dazzlement, with wonder. It's rather depressing. I've been a little discouraged, to say the least, and have to work really hard not to feel hopeless. Yeah, it weighs on us. It discourages us. I admit that the ongoing assaults to psyche and disruption and all of that, really weigh on me a lot, and I assume it probably does on most of you as well. I believe that if we could try, however, to remember to notice, if we could refocus more of our attention on beauty, on mystery, on wonder, on opening ourselves to dazzlement, it might help us through these hard times. And I know the more it keeps happening out there, the harder it is to do that. It really is. In Unitarian Universalist congregations, we rightly spend a great deal of time and energy on social justice, on doing all that we can to make the world a better place. And that's very important, and I congratulate all of you and all our churches for the work that they try to do to make the world a better place. But we must remember that another important part of the spiritual journey, the spiritual quest for us as Unitarian Universalisms, is to nurture that sense of mystery and wonder, to be willing to be dazzled. This is articulated in the first of the 6 sources in our Unitarian Universalist Statement of Principles and Purposes. We talk a lot about the principles, 7 principles, 8 under consideration, an 8th under consideration, but we don't very often refer to the 6 sources. We aspire to embrace and grow in our ability to incorporate these principles ever more fully into how we live our lives. The 6 sources are our grounding and inspiration. If the principles are our aspirations, the 6 sources are our inspiration. Each according to our own inclinations, we can look to the different sources to find inspiration for our growth. Aspiration and inspiration, that's what the principles and sources are all about. I'm not going to go into detail about all of that now, but they're in your hymnal, the gray hymnal, on the page right before the first hymn. The sources the principles and the sources, that's our covenant as Unitarian Universalists. So today what I want to talk about is my response to the first source that our Unitarian Universalist faith draws upon, which is direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces that create and uphold life. In naming this as our first source, our faith acknowledges the profound truth of transcending mystery and wonder, and affirms that experiencing it, not just thinking about it, not just talking about it, but actually experiencing it directly, is important for our spiritual development. And for me, experiencing transcendence is most accessible through beauty, the beauty of the natural world and the beauty we human beings create. So instead of just talking about mystery and wonder today, we should take a field trip. We should go to the beach and stand at the edge of the ocean and feel the wind in our hair and smell the life force and feel its rhythm come up through our feet as the waves come in and pulsate through our whole bodies. Or maybe we should go to a hospital and be dazzled by a newborn baby encountering the world outside its mother's womb for the first time. Or we could travel together to see the Aurora Borealis, nature's most amazing light show of brilliant color against the black sky. Or perhaps we would like to be dazzled by the beauty of that our fellow human beings create. We could take a field trip to one of the many art galleries or museums around this part of Florida, the west coast of Florida, and be dazzled by the depth of creativity and the beauty we are capable of producing. You have this wonderful collection of special art here in your building to dazzle you and those who come and visit you here. Well, it's impractical to arrange worship in such ways, but I assure you that such experiences are indeed worshipful. More than doctrine or creed, scripture or dogma, wonder is the basis of worship. The Jewish theologian Abraham Joshua Herschel says, to pray is to take notice of the wonder, to regain a sense of the mystery that animates all beings. To pray is to take notice of the wonder, to regain a sense of the mystery that animates all beings. It isn't complicated at all. We don't even need to make special trips. The wonder that creates worship and resonates in prayer is found in the everyday encounters of life, if we but take a moment to notice and recognize it. There is a constant flood of epiphanies in this world, if we but allow ourselves to be dazzled by them. As we stop and notice such encounters, as we allow ourselves to be dazzled, our naturally curious minds ask those profound big questions. Was that life somewhere before it was conceived and grew within its mother and was born into this world? Where did the teeming life of the sea come from, and where does it go, and what is its purpose? How vast is the universe, and how did it begin, and will it ever end, and why? And our questions naturally become more personal. Where did I come from? And where will I go after my life here is over? What does it really mean to be human? And what is the purpose of my own life at this point? All of us ask such questions. Unitarian Universalist faith development programs for both children and adults are specifically designed to grapple with these kinds of big questions. And our answers change as we experience and learn and grow. Delving into the mystery is part of our human nature, and for many Unitarian Universalists, the very nature of our spiritual quest. Paradoxically, these kinds of questions bring us to the edge of any certainty. On the other side of that edge lies mystery. My friend and colleague, Marianne Moore, says religions are born out of the questions. God is born out of the mystery. Think about that for just a moment. Religions are born out of the questions. Human beings have created religions to address the questions. God is born out of the mystery. Religion, being born out of questions, tried to offer answers that address the nature of ultimate reality, or what many people call God. But all answers eventually run aground and must finally return to mystery. Such is the limited state of our human knowledge thus far in our evolution and scientific exploration. Whatever people believe or think they can know about God, in the final analysis, that word, God, stands for something utterly unknowable in any factual way. All religions, whatever attributes they may assign or characteristics they may claim to know about God, acknowledge that at the end of any certainty, we arrive again at mystery. Really? We think of religions as providing answers to these questions, right? And we UUs always question the answers, don't we? That's what we do, we question the answers. But at the end of answers that the various religions of the world provide, there is always still mystery. Speaking of the creative force in the universe, the Native Americans of the plains called it Wankan Tanka, which translates to the great mystery. The medieval Christian mystic Meister Eckhart described it as a mystery behind mystery, a mystery within mystery that no light has ever penetrated. In the Hindu holy text, the Bhagavad Gita, the god Krishna says of himself, "I am the silence of mysteries." The silence of mysteries. The Taoist text, the Tao Te Ching, says, "Mystery and manifestations arrive from the same source. This source is called darkness. Darkness within darkness, the gateway to all understanding." Those of us who came out of more traditional religions, as I did, may have found this focus on mystery frustrating and perhaps even irritating. As a young child, I was taught specific doctrines about God and developed particular images in Sunday school. When we children asked questions that went beyond the biblical answers, we were usually told that it was a mystery and it was not okay for us to question the mystery. For me, that was very frustrating, irritating even. But because I was a good girl and I wanted to be good, I also felt guilty sometimes for asking the questions or even thinking about the unanswerable kinds of questions, especially if they seemed to contradict the answers that were given by the adult authorities in the church. Who was I to question the Sunday school teacher or the minister? By the time I was 14, I gave up on it though, and I drifted away from church, and my journey to Unitarian Universalism began, but it was a long time before I actually found it. Here in Unitarian Universalism, however, we're still told it's a mystery, but far from being sinful, we are assured that our questioning is natural and good and an essential part of our spiritual growth. It links directly to our fourth principle, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We don't assign specific attributes or characteristics of God, and we rarely use that word without making this larger context of it clear. Our faith draws on many sources for our contemplation, but leaves it to each of us to figure out the nature of ultimate reality for ourselves. Ultimate reality, which is commonly called God, although many of us don't like that term. Think ultimate reality, great mystery. So, God, the way I'm using it today and usually do, is merely a symbol for ultimate reality, which in my own personal theological understanding is indeed transcending mystery and wonder. We humanist-leaning UUs tend to look more to science for answers, but science finally rests in mystery too. Science hasn't gotten all the answers yet. As for Albert Einstein, the experience of mystery is essential to being human. He said, "The most beautiful emotion we can experience is the mystical. It is the source of all true art and science. He to whom this emotion is a stranger, who can no longer wonder and stand wrapped in awe, is as good as dead." then more recently, contemporary mathematician and cosmologist Brian Swimme asserted in The Hidden Heart of the Cosmos, there is no pre-existing Newtonian space into which the universe explodes forth. There is no external Newtonian timepiece clicking away inside the universe. Space and time erupt together, with mass and energy in the primordial mystery of the universe's flaring forth. There it is again, mystery, primordial mystery of the universe's flaring forth. Science, like religion, finally hits the limits of what we know and bumps into mystery. Why is there anything at all rather than nothing? Where do the laws of physics come from? So where does that leave us? Religion ends in mystery, science ends in mystery. Human knowing is stuck, at least for now, in mystery. So back to our UU source. The living tradition we share draws from many sources, and the first of these sources is direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces that create and uphold life. So that brings us back to being willing to be dazzled. And for me, back to faith, or forward to faith, if you will. Isn't it simply amazing that we exist? Isn't it simply amazing that our universe came into being and our planet was formed and upon it life sprang and being began to evolve? Isn't it amazing that we don't simply spin out of control, that we stay in orbit and everything else does too, and that it all actually works? When you stop to think about it, when you take a moment to notice the myriad manifestations of this unlikely existence, aren't you simply dazzled? The first source invites us not to just talk about it, but to experience that transcending mystery and wonder. Its aim is that we are moved to renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces that create and uphold life. We certainly need a renewal of our spirits during this disheartening time. Taking time to pause and appreciate beauty brings me into that direct experience and often renews my spirit more than anything else can, even if only temporary. The woes of the world come back very quickly. And this brings me to an overall sense of trust and faith that I longed for and sought through the teachings of the church I was raised in, but could never quite grab a hold of there. Here, in the freedom of Unitarian Universalism, to both ask questions and accept mystery, I find it. It invites us to deeply notice life and to get in there with it and come to know how intimately we are a part of it all. May we always be willing to be dazzled, because beyond all the ideas and justification for dazzlement that I've offered you this morning, it's just fun to be dazzled. It really is. So I wish you dazzlement this morning.
Our final hymn is All Creatures of the Earth and Sky, and you will find that as number 203 in your gray hymnal. 203. And let us sing the first three verses. And if you feel like standing up, please stand. And if you don't, then just sing along. It's easier to sing standing up. All creatures of the earth and sky, come, kindred, lift your voices high. Alleluia, alleluia. Bright burning sun with golden beams, soft shining moon
I send you off with a repeat of Mary Oliver. Still, what I want in my life is to be willing to be dazzled, to cast aside the weight of facts and maybe even to float a little above this difficult world. I want to believe I am looking into the white fire of a great mystery. May it be so as you go forth today, and hopefully you'll find a little mystery and wonder. Amen.
Please join us in our postlude, now in the teal book, 1003, Where Do We Come From? And note that each line is repeated, and if you like that line, stick with it. If you don't, go on to the next line. So by the time we're at the bottom, we have 4 parts going. So here we go.
You can do it, guys.
Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? To the story we're coming going. Where do we come from? To the story we're coming going. Where are we? To the story we're coming going. Where do we go? We're coming going. Where do we go? We're coming going. Where do we go? We're coming going.
Oh, that was fun.
Thank you for singing with us throughout the service.
We hope that you found meaning in today's service. We extinguish the chalice with these words. As we extinguish the flame, may you be dazzled this day and as many days as possible. May you rest in the great mystery, for in this troubled world, we need mystery and wonder more than ever. And now for the announcements. Hospitality would like you to plan for Sunday, June 19th as the Daddy Diaper Juneteenth potluck after the service in the social hall. They ask that you bring a dish to share and a pack of diapers for the Metropolitan Ministry. There will be a 50-50 raffle to support the African American Club of Pasco, Florida. The sign-up sheet for the potluck is in the social hall. Please keep checking Connections, our newsletter, which comes to you online or is on the website, for details of many more events. And now it says, wait for the signal from Greg.